So Buteyko, yes, the name of the Russian doctor who went on to become Professor of Medicine. And it all started back in the 1950s, in fact in 1952, when he was doing the third year of his medical degree. As part of that third year, he was given an assignment to observe people dying. Not a very pleasant assignment. However, he kept noticing without exception that the closer people got to death, the more deeply they were breathing. And this surprised him and fascinated him because he thought, like a lot of people do, that as you get closer to death, your breathing just gradually trails off and then stops. But it doesn't actually work that way. It does increase in depth prior to the onset of death. And after seeing this many, many times, he started to wonder whether deep breathing was not just associated with dying, but if it was also associated with diseases. Because after all, people die from diseases. So his idea, pretty radical at the time, was to experiment with reducing depth of breathing to see what impact it would have at improving people's illnesses. And very quickly he found that his hunch was correct. People started to get a decrease in symptoms, have an improvement in their sleep pattern, experience less anxiety, have greater energy levels, and as a result they had less requirement for using medications and machines. And the basis of the Buteyko method is that there is a correct and normal way to breathe. And we can measure our breathing like we can measure several other parameters of our body. And I've listed here down the left side of the board some of the very well-known body parameters that would often be measured if you weren't well and you went to see a doctor. Temperature, pulse, blood pressure, blood sugar, the pH of the blood. And if your value wasn't where it should be, you would expect to be given some sort of medication or treatment or advice to correct it. Well, you can also measure your breathing. And the test of significance is the minute volume, how much air you breathe per minute. And just as you'll find all these values in any standard medical textbook, you'll also see that a healthy adult should be breathing in the range of 4 to 5 litres of air per minute. But what Buteyko found with his research over a 50-year period, and what's been backed up in the clinical trials of the method done since 1994, all of this work shows that people with respiratory conditions typically breathe around 14 litres of air per minute, 3 times the standard healthy normal amount. And what Buteyko was saying is that it's this over-breathing which is actually the major cause of our conditions. So what we seek to do by learning the Buteyko method is to introduce you to a series of breathing exercises and techniques, and also some lifestyle changes of great significance but no particular difficulty, all designed to help you get your breathing back to the normal level. And very quickly you'll see these changes and improvements. So to be very clear on that, what we're saying is that the main cause of your snoring, your apnea, your asthma, your nasal problems, your anxiety, your fatigue is over-breathing. Now, when that was first said to me about 12 years ago, when I attended a seminar like this, ironically it's actually 12 years today, it was the 10th of April 1994, I couldn't accept it. I'd had asthma, nasal problems, sleeping difficulties for about 27 years. And someone was telling me that I was breathing too much and that was the cause of the problem. No way, I thought, because I often felt like I couldn't get enough air. And I was often blocked up and having to gasp and try to take more. Well, if you're feeling a little bit like I was back then, the way that I answer that these days is to ask you, when was the last time you woke after an apnea, where you saw someone in that situation? When was the last time you had asthma, or saw someone having it? When was the last time you saw someone having an anxiety attack? When in any of those situations that I've just described, did the breathing pattern look a little bit like mine does right now?